It's Jay Leno, and I'm here with my guys, Bundle and SSJ. What's up, fellas?
Hello.
All right, guys. As you can see in the title, we're going to be discussing the Thunderbolts movie, a bit of a review, reaction, discussion. Uh, a little bit happened within the film, and then also with some of the also what was revealed in the film and the post-credit scenes. We've got also to talk a lot about some of the what ifs that could possibly happen in the near future in the MCU. Do us all a favor, hit that like button, hit that bell if this is your first time around. If you ever want to join us, if you ever want to join us, even any of our streams or even tonight, I'm gonna as well put the link right here. Vibe out with us. Well, I guess we're gonna start off. I'm gonna start off with you, Bundle. If you don't mind letting us know exactly your synopsis and your experience at the movie theaters watching Thunderbolts.
We went. We went there. It was cool. I liked it. It was one of the better ones, the more recent movies. I didn't go in there with the highest of expectations, but I went in there expecting them to be able to connect where we go after Brave New World and how we go into Doomsday. And I felt it did that. It had its own way of storytelling. We couldn't get the exact origin of Sentry that we wanted, all because Sony and copyright issues. But the director said that this was going to be a film that he also wanted to. The underlying tone was going to be mental health, and that was important to him. And I definitely felt that in there. Every character felt like they were on their own path to fill some specific type of void. And they did that by finding each other and being the brand new Avengers and defeating an unstoppable opponent that only they could. You can't beat them by physical force. It was only by knowing that we can all accept. It was a whole mental health thing. And I got it. And that doesn't really go over well in comic book films, especially because there's a lot of drama behind that.
He got defeated by a hug. That was lame.
And I knew that was going to be that, but I understood where they were going with it because they said before that. But it was just like, this is going to miss a lot of people, man. Like, I can appreciate because I understand it, but this is not going to go well with the mainstream audience. But outside of that, I just wanted to know how you're going to go ahead and connect everything to make it so we have a comfortable transition to where Doomsday is going. I obviously did it in 3 different ways, but given what they had, it's all right. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but they did at least get Sentry right to the degree of what they could, show him in a live action film. They can't do exactly what they do in the comics, so I don't hate the Sentry choice. That is what Thunderbolts are. New Avengers, if you don't like them, they won't be long lived. So, won't be long lived. Won't be long lived. And and I'm glad Taskmaster. You know how many times I've said that on here. Hated Antonio Dreykov. I hate her. All that stuff, and I'm glad they called her and noticed that she wasn't going to be in any other spots in the trailer. And yeah, she's gone. Get Tony Masters back.
It was obvious.
It was obvious. It was very obvious what they were doing. Everything was kind of obvious, but I will get into details later. I don't want to be too a long rant. My bad.
All right, I got you. Well, SSJ, how about yourself? Let us know what's your overview of the film and yeah.
So, like most other people who've been kind of fatigued with previous Marvel products, I wasn't really going into this with high expectations. However, I was still intrigued by this due to the fact that it was a bunch of other characters just basically getting together. And I had already watched all the prerequisite shows that you would have had watched and movies and appreciate these characters a little bit, even though I don't really like a lot of these characters like that. So like, you would have had to watch Black Widow to understand Yelena and Red Guardian, and 3 episodes of Hawkeye since she dies and comes back to life from the snap in Hawkeye. and then you would have had to had watched shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier for John Walker to appreciate his character more, since we knew that his character was basically a fallen hero type character, basically, and disgraced. So there was a lot of things to appreciate in this movie. I liked a lot of the action sequences that was in the movie, and of course, I thought Sentry was done well, despite the fact I didn't like how he was defeated by a hug, because like this is the second to third Marvel movie where it's either talk no jutsu or we got to do something like that to defeat. I'm not saying the Thunderbolts could have defeated him physically, but they could have probably gotten him to surrender or something. I don't know. But to me, I thought they did Sentry pretty well as far as showing his abilities. He was way stronger than everybody else, and I definitely agree with the statement that he's stronger than the original Avengers. At least, Hawkeye, Tony Stark, and Natasha. Hulk, yeah, I think he's washing Hulk.
MCU Hulk, wash.
He is.
MCU Hulk, yeah.
Well, even if it was the Avengers Hulk too, if we went back in time, brought this Sentry back to 2012, he's watching that Hulk too. All he's got to do is make Hulk relive
I got
his
some
trauma.
details you're going to get into, but I'm going to save it. Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best piece of entertainment ever that I've been seeing people say in the reviews. And I don't agree with people saying things like, "Oh, Yelena was the best character."
Everybody's
in this movie.
like saying this is amazing.
I made it around her.
Yeah.
No, I know the people that are saying that it's amazing. It's mostly the shills, but it is an entertaining movie, though. It is. It isn't. And guess what? I'll tell you this last thing before I'll let y'all have it. It's for doggone sure better than Captain America.
I definitely disagree.
And it was for doggone sure better than
Daredevil more entertaining.
Because to me, the only good episodes of that was episode 1, 2, and then episode
bigger
9.
implications. Yeah, it meant more to the story. It progressed. It progressed the story more than both of those series combined. And that's what I was looking for. You know what I mean? Outside of even getting to the post credit scene, we gonna wait on that. But yeah, we gonna wait on that combo. But, yep.
Were you
The story element is there, and I feel like the MCU elements that we've been getting has for sure been dialed down, which I appreciate. So we didn't get too much MCU in this movie, except for maybe Valentina controlling Sentry, which I hated, but it was still tolerable.
You got over that real quick.
All right.
Compared to
Jonah Level Fox says, "What's up, guys? I might not stay for too long." He said, "I know Bundle is happy," and Jonah also says they promoted White Widow too much in the trailers.
That's because it was basically her movie. You would have had to watch Black Widow, and then you'll understand why, kind of, because it's basically her movie, and then she gets with Red Guardian at some point in the movie too to form the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, so with this film, I guess I agree with you guys with the entertaining part of this film. I did not watch Black Widow, and I did not finish Cap and Winter Soldier and Falcon.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's actually on you, my brother, because that stuff came out a while ago. Black Widow came out.
So I say that to say, without that prior knowledge, watching this
they both
film,
came out the same year.
I wasn't really attached to anybody.
Well, damn it, sir.
but look, I say that to say, for people that don't know this stuff, they might feel like this is a kind of drawn out, dull movie until Bucky shows up.
Yeah, man. It's just only because you didn't watch the continuity, bro.
That's only because you didn't watch. That stuff came out 4 to 5 years ago. That's on you.
Okay. So if nobody's seen that, and they were casuals to see this film, what would they think of the beginning portion of this film?
But okay, I understand what
That's
you're
what
saying.
that's what I'm trying to. That's
And
what
I,
I'm.
and the answer to your question is, well, just look at your point of view. There's your answer.
But I
But
didn't know if I was in the minority. I'm just speaking out
yeah,
loud. I'm just saying that people that don't know this stuff, they might look at this film as kind of dull, and they're used to a film with a group of casted people having a bit more action. This was kind of quirky at the beginning.
oh, there we got
We got
action.
action in the beginning. Taskmaster got killed off in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Yelena beat up some guys that Valentina sent her after in the beginning of the movie. There was a hallway sequence.
You are in the minority, man, because this is the biggest thing as far as like international, like whatever people watching. Everyone watches those shows and movies.
I see that I'm in a minority. Everybody has given it a great review. I enjoy watching the film, but to me, for this group of people, it wasn't that exciting. I got more excitement out of the Captain America than I got out of this. And then to me, to me, it was a drag to see these super soldiers fight these regular human beings.
I don't understand.
And then the exciting part was when I finally saw Sentry.
When I get into my detail, I can go ahead and probably make you appreciate the film a little more.
We're going to get there. This is just
I'm away,
this is just my overview.
Not seeing majority of the TV shows is also, I mean, it's not just a knock on like the information you're privy to, it's a knock on the appreciation to it. Like, so you never got to see their redemption story, you never got to see them at their best, you never watched it or never finished it. So it's just like, oh, that exists out here and this is how I expect this character to be. But then you never saw their arc and saw how they overcame certain things or how they got better. And now that rolls over into this film, but because you never cared to watch those prior shows, and it's just like your mindset is still on that, how they were 5, 6, 7 years ago, and like, oh, this is kind of how they've been and how they are now.
So to elaborate more, the banner that they had amongst each other to me was bad. Those are horrible jokes. It was really corny to me. Like I'd rather have seen more violence.
Most
Marvel ones are corny. It's a comic book.
That was my take. I mean, I got to see that action, but I didn't laugh.
Did you finish? You didn't finish Falcon and Winter Soldier, so you never saw the dynamic of Walker and Bucky.
Yeah, John Walker.
You never saw it, so you never would understand it. You know what I mean? You didn't really. Did you watch Black Widow?
One second, I got to take care of my dog. 1 second.
Okay. Feel.
And I saw in the comment section, Jonan Level Fox said that you're not missing much with Black Widow. I disagree, because for this movie, you would have to watch something like Black Widow, because Taskmaster is in it, even though Taskmaster was not portrayed well. And because of Yelena, that's the main character.
You have to
watch
Black Widow.
She has the most.
My bad.
All right, I'm back.
You have to watch Black Widow.
All right,
Black Widow is at least better than movies.
So Jonas says, I agree with Jay Leno's claim. Continuity or not, a movie should at least cover the basics of who the characters were.
They did.
And then we got Carol Lucky says nobody gives a Thunderbolts movie a chance because these Marvel movies haven't been good. And then
expectations have been really high for Marvel movies. That's what it is.
And then Carol Lucky says when I think he's trying to say when the background characters when you give the background characters their own show, naturally it's going to be boring. Then he says they have no star power or charisma. Then Sanoff, if I said your name correctly, he said Thunderbolts was trash. Just kidding. It was a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Solid.
And then Jonan says exactly how I felt about Red Guardian. He was unfunny, and John was a punching bag.
That's what Agent Zero is.
Sanoff says maybe 6 out of 10 because the middle part got a bit boring.
This is exactly who the Thunderbolts are, though. I'm not sure if people understand that. Though.
Well, that's why that's why I made my statement.
That's who they are, though. They're not flashy. They're super soldiers or mercenaries that punch and shoot. They even poke fun at themselves in the movie. Even like Yelene's like, so all we do is punch and shoot. None of us can fly. Like, you know what I mean? When they try to get up in the silo, even in the end where they were called the Avengers, before the post mid-credit transition happened, they were showing a whole bunch of newspaper.
You know what? That scene that you just talked about, them trying to get up the silo or whatever, that scene was terrible. It went on for way too long.
It did. But I mean, I didn't.
When they had their butts up against each other, trying to get up out of the chute or whatever, like that scene went on for way too long. And then it cut to a different scene that was short.
Because, you know, like the poster on all the Thunderbolts is a giant asterisk. Because it was Thunderbolts asterisk, and now you figure out it's Thunderbolts New Avengers. So everyone's supposed to have an asterisk on them, and the whole silo of them going up with their feet out like that represented that asterisk. You remember they kind of showed that kind of silhouette type of looking thing. The director said something about that. I'm with you. I don't really care for it. It was unnecessary. It didn't need it. Just find a way to get up there, whatever. But I guess that was his way of directing their first stint of teamwork, being the Avengers. So it was pivotal to him. Agree to disagree, whatever. Yeah.
But look. I mean, I watched it, but I mean, those were my critiques, and I just couldn't wait to see Sentry.
It was represented how he should have been.
Yeah, but yeah, I was about to say. I
thought he was.
I thought Sentry. Well. I thought Sentry did his part. I said the only thing that would probably make it even better is if it was more gory. But I mean, it's Disney, but it still wasn't bad. I was saying if they included that, it would have made. If they would have included more gore and more violence than what we got, it would have took it. I would have enjoyed it more, but that's not to say that Sentry was done bad.
So you want to?
Yeah. If Sentry had that kind of presence, I think it would turn this film to like a 8 or 9 or 10 to me.
Rated R, but who would he have been gory towards?
It wouldn't have messed well with.
Yeah, they didn't give him a true villain.
Like we can't kill these guys. Yeah, like, we getting Taskmaster up out of here. She gotta go. But like, who else we gonna kill? Everyone's gotta live, and you just already we got him send them into the void. I'm a shadow people, so it's like him ripping people apart. Yeah, he did do that to Ares, the Dark Avenger, that Dark Reign run. Yeah, I give him that. But I don't know.
And then
they should have let John Walker kill Taskmaster.
Sanov said, "Yeah, the walking up the wall could have been shorter. It was funny, but not boring." Then Sanov said, "Maybe Taskmaster." Then Sanov said, "Maybe Taskmaster could have had a more serious death, where he cracks her neck like from the comics." I mean. Yeah, but I mean, this panel doesn't even like that Taskmaster, so I'm not gonna lie. Like that was the highlight. Like that was like, all right, cool.
Remember when that happened? And what did I do?
It sucks because that Taskmaster had cool things about it. The suit was cool. The sword was cool. The shield looked cool. The problem is, it wasn't a dog on it.
She did copy old girls. Copies of old girls.
The problem was a damn woman in the suit.
Her combatants.
He was with me, and when she got shot in the head, what did I do? I was the first one next to me. What did I do? I said, "Yes!"
Thank God. Yeah. About time.
I think I had the same reaction when Kingpin killed that commissioner.
Dude's
just
face,
about.
I was like,
yeah.
Yep.
But
so how did okay, so guys. All right, so
what's the next part?
The presence of the void. How? I gave you the first take, Bundle. I'm gonna go to SSJ. What was your take on the presence of the void itself?
I kind of knew that Disney would go this route with kind of making it more of like a trauma kind of thing, where when the Void basically gets in contact with whoever is, well, I'm sorry, if Bob basically gets in contact with anybody, he puts you into that void where you see basically your negative thoughts or any trauma that you had in the past. Like when Yelena, several times we saw her. I thought it was interesting too. You would have had to also have watched Black Widow to kind of appreciate this. Like Black Widows, when they grow up, they have to do a lot of missions for the Red Room, and her mission was basically to kill this little girl, and that's what she did. She took this little girl out to the woods or whatever, and was calling her name. Was like Anya, Anya, come on out, and then got her killed. And that's what passed her mission to become a Black Widow later on in the Red Room. So I thought that was interesting. They should have explored some of the other characters more, because it was basically just her that got explored. We should have gotten like Bucky or Red Guardian's trauma get explored, or even Sentry, because we just get like little mentions of it here and there, but we don't really get too much of it. It kind of just gets explained in a sentence by Valentina, his mom, basically.
Yeah. Sanov says, do y'all think that the new Avengers will be jobbed out and killed to Doctor Doom? I know Bundle and I had mentioned that when we were in the car together. How about you, SSJ? How do you feel about Sanov's comment?
I'm gonna wait.
It's pretty good.
You wanna wait? Okay.
The thing is, because I'm gonna answer that question because I know the answer to it. But I'm going to answer your question of how I felt about the Void, my interpretation of it, and what I believe that they were doing. I believe that I think you missed a few things, SJ, about the Void and about what happened. But we'll see. We'll talk.
Well, I was mainly referring to how it is in the MCU. I'm sure you'll probably delve into the comics.
No, I wasn't going to the comics. I thought you was going to go into this. As far as the Void goes, yeah, they completely did something different. Well, actually, in the end, do complete. You're right. In the comics, real quick. There's 3 different ways that they had the Void. First one, which is kind of the most popular one, is the one that we see in King Black. Basically, is when Null does the same thing that Sentry does to Ares. Null rips Sentry in half, and basically the Void comes out of him, and you realize the Void is a primordial entity that actually came from the Clentar species, which is what the symbiotes are, and went right back to Null and actually empowered him. And when Null saw it, he said, "Yes, come back to me, my child," type deal. So the Void completely succumbed to
that. Makes sense.
That's the one that we wanted the most, which was awesome. But simultaneously, we don't have the rights to Sony, so you can't do that. Yeah. So the other version was basically, it was like an old primordial force that bonded itself to Bob in the middle of him receiving the super soldier serum, which was actually a very broad and not a very good told story. But this type of entity known as the Void had been around since Egyptian times, like BC, before Jesus, Sumerian times. It was just this dark entity that always, was around for all different civilizations, that conjured up all their purity, all their impurity, all their darkness, and blah blah. And that was that version of the Void. The one that we got was the most, not popular one, was essentially all of Bob's inner struggle, all of his trauma, all of his inner turmoil, and it split his psyche and his personality into 2. And he basically just was like a dark shadow of himself that had all of his, his depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts and all that. And that's the Void that we got in this version. As far as him touching everybody, yeah, they did not go into Bucky. And I wanted to answer when SJ said that. Bucky actually had a line where he was just like, "I'm okay with my past." So he didn't have to make peace and see the worst parts. It was lazy.
It was lazy.
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
It was lazy. Very, very lazy.
It was lazy. But that's how they explain.
How is Bucky just okay? It was very lazy.
You're not just going to be just okay being alive that long, doing all the crazy things that you have done. You're not okay from killing Stark's parents. You're not. But we have seen the most of Bucky, that he has gone through the most rehabilitation of all of them, having to right his wrongs, done the therapy in Falcon and Winter Soldier, tried to make amends, talked to all the old people he's tried to assassinate and kill. So it would make sense why they didn't delve into him directly and paid attention to the other Thunderbolts. As far as Ghost, they didn't pay attention to her because she just wasn't a big enough character, and they didn't go to Alexei. But you can kind of already understand Alexei's probably biggest shadow would be not living his glory days anymore, being the Soviets' Red Guardian. They paid attention to the people that you needed to. So Yelena's was, you're right, Anya, sending her friend on that joint to go ahead and get killed, which allowed her to be a part of the Red Robe. Or even when she was the fastest to assemble the gun, faster than anyone, so everyone else got their hands whipped and stuff like that, and like, you know, mangled up. And then you got to, what's his name? John. Johnny's worst part was him not paying attention to his kid, doom scrolling, ignoring his wife, causing his divorce, causing the demise of who he was, and even the downfall of Agent Zero to some degree. You know, you got, who was the other one? Bob's was, he was a meth addict as a kid. You know what I mean? He stopped his mom from beating stopped his dad from beating his mom, but which forced his dad to go away, which his mom blamed him for. She like gave him away or committed suicide type stuff. He became an addict, went to China or whatever where the Ox program was going, and tried to.
See, they never explained none of that in the movie. This was just kind
No.
of
They said that. They said
throwaway
that.
lines from
No,
Valentina.
they said that. They did. They did. They did. They said that. Hold on, my headphone went out. 1 second.
It's all good.
No, they
Jo-
did say this about him though.
Well,
I don't know if
one
you guys
second. I'm
can
gonna
hear
get.
me, but
I'm just hold your thought for one moment, Bundle. John Level Fox says, I will say I'm divided on Taskmaster's death. I watched a video from Jester Ball explaining how they offed the character who was used and abused, but personally, I'm not losing sleep over it. Jonas said they could have made it a serious death at least, but yeah, I wanted the real
There it
Tony
goes.
Masters. And
yeah, we
then
didn't too much.
and then Jonas said, like how Earth's mightiest heroes, Doctor Doom, beat up the Fantastic Four and Avengers at the same time.
We got far ahead.
Yeah.
We got far
And
ahead.
then
on
Sanaf, I know, I just didn't want to cut you off because you was going off.
Yeah. I'll
and
finish.
then,
I'll finish the thought in a second.
And then Sanaf said, Bucky and Ghost were just wasted and pushed to the side.
They were.
Yeah, I agree on Bucky. Ghost, I don't really care about, but yeah, they didn't really do much with her. They should have did a little more since she has
She's gonna
actual
end up
power.
dying in Doomsday. Bucky is gonna be a bigger deal later on, but they did explain his parents, what happened with him. He chased his father away, and his mom killed herself, and then he went to China to go ahead to do experimental meth. And he stumbled upon a guy that was working for the Ox Corporation that was just finding people that were just, deadbeats that were going to die, whatever, to do this experimental drug that Valentina de la Fontaine created. He was supposed to be one of the rubble that died, and they just didn't know that he actually survived while he was sitting in that incubation tube for the whole time. But that wasn't what we're getting into. Actually, I kind of got away from the original point, but the Void, we got the mental depression version of him, and anyone that touched him, they felt their worst parts. And he did send people to the Void, but everyone he did send to the Void, he ended up bringing them back. And I do think it's going to be interesting how they go ahead and go forward with the MCU, because remember, he cast the entirety of New York in that Void shadow, which means the entirety of, I remember you guys were talking about that earlier, saying, they're going to say, it was just like a light switch or something like that. I don't believe that. I don't think they're going to go ahead and look at it like the big celestial god hanging out of our ocean. I think they're going to address it immediately and understand that when he took over the whole city of New York like that, he basically exposed all those people. So everyone in New York experienced their worst situations, worst blah, 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 worst time in life ever. I think that's going to come up in the next film. I'm not sure if it's going to reach the MCU, because you would also have to take in Daredevil into that position. Because if you remember Kingpin implemented his curfew at that time. And so all of New York would have got hit with that. So it's like, hey man, how you feel about a superhero just put everyone in a nightmare state for like 20 minutes and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But fast forward.
Would it be
They probably
disappointing
won't
if we
I
stick
don't
hope
with it.
they do,
see a
but
response to it?
no, wait,
I
well, here we go.
guarantee.
Fast forward. That's why the 14-month time skip at the very end. Remember, as soon as it starts, they're known as the New Avengers, but it starts off with Bucky talking about how I got bad relations with Sam, who was the Captain America, and it makes perfect sense. Why? Because you started a new Avengers team, but you got a new Avengers team with nothing but murderers and mercenaries. You got one with John Walker that took the Captain America manor, and you got the dude that just put the entire New York Sentry into this whole, whatever like this. So like, you're representing the Avengers, but you are representing them with like, mercenaries and stuff like that. So when they went into that final thing, that was the first thing that they said. Like Bucky was talking, was like, yeah, negotiations and conversation with Sam went horrible. And then I was like, really? He's like, yeah, no good. Like, I don't know if y'all remember that. And then it went right into Johnny cutting them off talking. So it's like, I think because Sentry did what he did to New York, that's the reason why the Avengers haven't made a new Avengers team. And I think the next movie, whether it be Doomsday or whatever, will fill in that 14-month gap of what actually happened. I think the implications of him shadowing and voiding the entire New York City will mean something. Hopefully, they don't do what they did with Eternals with the whole god hanging out the ocean, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. How about yourself, SSJ? Do you have any reaction, or are we going to move on from talking about the?
What was the
Well, I guess
question?
he basically was
talking
describing.
at
He was
it.
basically describing the void,
The
but
void
then he
and the
also
implications
included
afterwards,
he also included in his take whether or not the void will be included post after this movie, as far as
he
New
will.
York,
He will.
New York, etc. And Bundle was saying is
Yeah,
I
he
don't
will.
think that they're just going to move on and just ignore this. He's saying that more than likely, if our Daredevil or anything that else happens post after this with New York, this what just happened in New York.
I don't think they'll ignore the event of Sentry putting the entirety of New York in a void. That was really the main point. I just would like to see where they go with the trust of the Avengers moving forward. We got a whole superhero that basically just made us relive our entire nightmares for like a day. You know what I mean? So I just want to see where that happens.
And
but
then
immediately,
said, I felt like they could have done more with ghost powers from the quantum realm against Sentry at least.
What could she have done? They had a moment where she was like skipping around him, and
there was a moment where he like was
I don't think
able to move
she could snap
faster
the
than
neck
her.
or
and
anything.
they-
Like this. It's like what's
like-
she gonna do?
Like without being near the sun, Sentry is already close to Superman.
Oh, he don't need that radiation charge. He
Yeah,
already
so
got it.
like fresh out of the incubator, I guess you would call for experimentation.
Yeah,
It was
he already got the juice and the sauce. Pause. I did like that scene when they pop up. We get to the next slide because I know there's a lot of comments we gotta talk about, but there's
at this point, shoot for a topic. Shoot for it.
And there's a lot of people. Jonah and Oh Boy said some things, but I think obviously I want to know when we're going to talk about the ending credit because the ending credit has a lot of what
if that's the case,
the
then
Fantastic Four. Before
we say that, we've already talked about the Void. We've already talked about about our thoughts on Sentry. What are you guys' thoughts on the new Nick Fury?
Contessa de Fontaine.
I
She's
hate
been there
her.
for a while. I mean, she's been
agenda.
in the comics since the 60s. That was Fury's love interest.
She's been in the comics since the 60s, but this interpretation of the character that the MCU particularly have done with this character has been god-awful and insufferable. I hated the way that this character has interacted with the Thunderbolts, like undermining them.
Like Amanda
talking
Waller?
to them like
But she only did that because she knew Sentry
No, Amanda
was
Waller talks
upstairs.
Nah, Amanda Waller is better
Waller's
than this
definitely
chick.
better.
This
Yeah.
chick.
I mean, I
I've
agree,
seen
but I'm
people
just
say
saying
things
it's
like,
Amanda
she looks
Waller.
like Amanda Waller. This is a soccer mother right here. Like, this character sucks. I'm sorry, this character sucks. There's nothing you can tell me about this character that's great. She's just cringe in every scene that you see her in. Like, hey, it's Valentina. And I didn't like how she was trying to argue with the governors and the people that she was being impeached from in that scene. Trying to correct them.
Yeah.
Like, that black guy should have told her to should have been like, yo, sit your ass down. Like,
Her
what you
job
talking
was
about?
to
Like,
be
trying to
annoying
correct
and
me
irritating.
about
I think.
Yeah, that's her job, and she was it. She was it. But again,
I don't think
He
that was
said, "I
her
don't
job.
think that was her." Yeah, I think
Irritating.
No, I mean,
Her job was to recruit a
she
new
wanted to be
team
hated,
of like
and I
She
think it worked
was.
out.
individuals. She was supposed to be like
She is,
Amanda
but
Waller. No, I don't think
you're
we were
supposed to
supposed to
hate her.
be. We weren't
But you're
supposed to get
supposed
that
to hate
reaction.
her. You're not supposed to like her. You want her downfall. That's why even old girl went to like, we own you now. Like, you know what I mean? She's gone.
Like Amanda Waller. We don't like Amanda Waller, but we actually we like her because of the power that she holds over the characters
because
like
she
the
holds,
Justice League,
she
and because
holds,
she's
she
interesting.
holds power over real powerhouses. Valentina holds
And she
like
doesn't treat them like
power
Hold on,
over
children.
Jonas.
super soldiers.
Jonas said,
Like,
"I
it's
keep
like,
getting
yeah.
her mistaken with Victoria Hand."
Who's that?
I don't know
But
who
like,
that is.
if you have that feeling towards her, bro, then they're doing their job. That's how you're supposed to feel towards her. She's annoying, cringy. Get this out of here. I don't like you. Like,
Let's
she's
address
supposed
this
to be
comment
like
right here because I 100% disagree with the ending
he say?
part. He said a Hawkeye by himself
Hold
could
on.
take
Yeah,
out most of them without Sentry.
Sanov said, "I like John, but this Avengers team is a joke without Bucky, Yelena, and Sentry, which is half the team. That's definitely no Avengers. Hawkeye by himself could take out most of them without Sentry."
No, he can't.
No, he can't. Because you want to know what? I'm gonna let Bundle go after me.
can't.
But listen, did we not see the Hawkeye show where he almost got defeated by Echo while he was Ronin, the same Ronin that defeated the Yakuza, and he could not defeat. He lost against Yelena in a one-on-one. So yeah, he's not beating Yelena. He's not beating Bucky.
Prime Hawkeye would beat them, but no, he's not beating this. Nah, he's not beat.
I don't think Prime Hawkeye would beat him either. He's not.
Prime Hawkeye,
he can't fight.
Can't beat them. Prime Hawkeye is definitely beating Yelena and Echo, but
Widow, Natasha Black Widow.
No, he beat her. He almost killed her. Remember, that's how they became friends. Remember they met in Budapest? He was sent to kill Yelena by Fields. And he let Natasha live.
No, downgrade that bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, stop.
Wait.
No. So give me the most impressive scene of Hawkeye. Go, and without the Ronin suit either. Give me the most impressive scene you've seen of Hawkeye in the MCU without the Ronin suit.
Atari Warlords, who fought as Guardian Warriors. You participated in the endgame scene where they fought against aliens and the Black Order.
Yeah, but you're just telling us what he did. But what's the most
that's
impressive
what he did.
to you
Those
personally?
are very impressive if you're just
no, but what was the most impressive to you personally?
He's fighting
to you, I'm asking
aliens.
You.
That's impressive. Everyone's supposed to be a super soldier or a super great. He's not a super soldier. He's just he's a special forces operative that's got great aim. That's all he's got. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing special. Bullseye is supposed to be greatly better, all that stuff like that. I'm with you, comics and stuff like that. But he's just a regular ass human, which is what makes the stories, personable, with understandable. Like, dude, you have nothing but good aim, and yet you can hang. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing.
Sanov said he has
the original
range of arrows, accuracy that matches Bullseye.
See, Hawkeye
and then
blowing up
Sanov said
him
arrows, electric arrows.
Him
that
fighting Black Panther is
vision.
Him keeping away excuse me, sorry. The Infinity Gauntlet from
Loki,
the Chitauri
Hawkeye
Wolves
fighting Black Panther.
He got lucky.
It happened.
He got lucky with Loki.
He's an Avenger.
The Black Panther thing, though. Black Panther
how many
SHIELD
agents did
he got
kill?
his ass beat by
He killed
Black
how many SHIELD agents? All that stuff like that. I mean, he's a regular human. He doesn't have no super strength. He's not supposed to have crazy.
The point I'm trying to make is that he's not impressive compared to all of these other characters that we're just talking about, like Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian. He's not impressive.
He's not. But that
also
goes back to the point, because the original point was how he's lost to certain people while he's a death and not an Avenger and retired.
Jonas said he
and
did
still
pack
who he is.
Quicksilver.
He did pack Quicksilver, and he did stop. And
Quicksilver
he did stop
with
Wanda with the joint to the head. And also, when everyone got blipped, I know you didn't want to say Ronin, but the man did stop 68% of the world's cartels in 5 years. The U.S. government couldn't even do that.
That's as
Ronin, but that's still Hawkeye. That's still him. That's still
He was
him.
going around shooting people with bows, though. He was going around throwing shurikens,
Mopping
slicing
everybody.
people
Mopping
up.
everybody. So if anything, that speaks to his greatness. I can do more than just shoot arrows.
He's going as an ultimate.
It's
different
good for
identity.
him, right? That's good for him, right? That's the point, right? I mean,
All right, guys, y'all
we
ready?
actually-
Y'all ready to?
He's
Y'all
He's
ready
got
to get to
impressive
it?
feats, but he's not that impressive overall to me.
there we go.
Like,
Okay,
he's
no,
not
no
out.
argument.
He's
I can,
not
I can agree
beating.
to that. I
No
can agree.
argument.
He's not
there, no
beating
argument
Red
there.
Guardian. He's not beating Yelena because
Nope,
he lost
nope.
to Yelena twice in Hawkeye. He's not beating Yelena. He's lost to Black
Well,
Widow in the first
well,
Avengers
the
movie.
last time he let Yelena win. He let Yelena win. Because he had a time to stop Yelena, and Yelena saw it, and he didn't do it. And that's why she hesitated when she had the kill shot on him. Because he beat Yelena, and he just didn't do it. So he did beat Yelena, retired, old, and deaf.
Nah, I'm not
He
convinced.
did, bro. He did.
Well,
He
look,
did,
look.
bro.
We're going to move on to a more impressive topic. Bundle.
Yeah, let's please.
You can get to. You can. You could. This is. You wanted to throw this in here. I wanted to let you do the honors of the post-credit scene discussion.
Oh, the post-credit scene. Okay, so they went for 14 months, which is what I said. I think that's interesting because the
I'll be
end of
specific.
yeah, oddly specific. Brave New World, obviously. Captain America, Sam Wilson wanted to create his own Avengers team. So 14 months later, we haven't done that. But when they went 14 months later, Dave Fontaine had the Watchtower. It was government funded. Avengers have made. They have their own insignia, all embroiderment. Obviously, they're neck and neck with Sam's Avengers. So it'll be interesting to see that if that's some type of, verse against each other before the Doomsday happens. Because if any of the older characters come back, like if Hulk wants to be an Avenger again. You know what I mean? If Ant-Man wants to be Avenger, if Carol Danvers comes back, if any of these people, if Riri Williams wants to come back, if old girl Shuri, they're gonna side with Sam on his Avengers, and then you got these Avengers. So let's see if that means anything. But getting away from that, at the very end we saw and I don't want to say incursion, but an interstellar break, whatever, that Fantastic Four ship came through. Obviously, that looks like the exact same ship for Fantastic Four First Step. Whether this ship is coming at the beginning of the Fantastic Four movie.
One
or at
second, Bundle. Okay, remember what you were about to say, but I just jumped through this in. Victoria Hand was the assistant to Norman Osborn during the Dark Avengers Thunderbolts, and when he was the director of Hammer.
So that's if you're going with the Dark Avengers version of them, which is what they're not doing, unfortunately.
They're not doing.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah.
As you were saying though, but I just want to make sure.
The Fantastic Four. If that is what we think it is. A lot of people are like, oh, they gave the spoiler away to the end of Fantastic Four. Clearly, Galactus goes ahead and destroys that planet, which is why this version of Fantastic Four is coming over to this version of Earth 011999999, or you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's like now it's speculation of like, is this that Fantastic Four, or is this Fantastic Four from the end of that movie after Galactus destroys your world, or blah blah blah, so like this?
Or could it be Doom in a fantastic ship? Who knows?
Could it be that, or could it be? You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but obviously the Fantastic Four is coming over, and our version of this Avengers is going to meet them. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Fantastic Four from the film that we have, the original Fantastic Four. Like no Jessica Alba, no Chris Evans, but Thing and oh boy, I don't know what those actors' names are, but y'all know the guy I'm talking about. The two people. Like maybe, what if it's them? What if it's the Miles Teller version of them? You know what I mean? What if it's the John Krasinski version of them? What if it's the Fantastic Four when they first get their powers and they accidentally cross over into this universe and then bounce out again? What if it's the end of First Steps after Galactus destroyed this world and they're coming here to let us know, hey, stop this. This creates incursions. Because if you watch the Fantastic Four trailer, obviously Reed is panicking. Like, I expose us to this. I let let the universe know there's a higher power here. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So the trailer points to all facts that they lose, Black win, and they need to come here to warn us. And maybe the Doom from that universe is like, Reed, this is your fault, so I'm coming here to this. And it's Tony. I don't know. I don't know. But I did see one thing that Kevin Feige did put about Robert Downey Jr.'s thing. It said, different masks, but same task. And their task, quote underneath was, I see a suit of armor around this world. So is it Tony Stark as Dr. Doom, or Iron Man became Dr. Doom, or I don't know what it is, but
there's nothing to look too far into. It's mostly just Robert Downey Jr. coming back and playing a different role. It's the same actor coming back playing a villain instead of the hero.
I feel that. But has he been Von Doom the whole time, or is it Iron Man turned to Doom?
Listen, if they do the Iron Man
different mask, same task, which then underneath said, I see a suit of iron around the world, which means that's Tony Stark. But it's Tony Stark that has seen an apocalyptic world that's just like, you know what, F it, now I turn to Doom. So is that what we're getting?
If they do that, that'll just be lazy. Because that's an obscure comic came out back in like 2000. And yeah, they would be lazy because we just got Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. So then they were like, you know what?
Would it be lazy if they do that and has all of its inclusions though? Story. Right. My fault. Go ahead. My fault.
Well, let me finish though. The fact that they had to go ahead and rework their whole plan because the King Dynasty thing didn't work out, that was a whole desperate move on its own. So them going ahead and getting Robert Downey Jr. back to play Dr. Doom was pretty much their whole, like, that was their whole plan to get everybody back in the seats.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And if, you know, this whole thing goes according to plan, then most fans are just going to be like, oh, well, he was in the comics the whole time. And that's, you know, that's cool. We're going to accept it because Iron Man has been Dr. Doom before. And because Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man, he's coming back to play Dr. Doom. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, my goodness. But that's not really what the idea was from, though. It was more so a desperation.
It is desperation, but
Doom is a good replacement though for that failure.
It is a good desperation. It is a good replacement, especially.
He's a good replacement for Kang's failure. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's Doom.
Yeah. It's Doom. Yeah.
The Iron Man Doom, though. We can't get the original Victor Von Doom. You want Iron Man?
I think we will. Just like how we'll get our original Silver Surfer. There's no reason to think that we won't, because now it
wasn't just Tony that was in the mask when he displayed himself at Comic-Con.
Everyone's on the. That's when they showed that the seats of everyone going back and everyone retweeting. This is like, yo, everyone that's ever had a Marvel role, y'all coming back, man. Everything's coming back. So everything is on the table. So I wouldn't hate that. If that's like the first roster that we're getting, it's like, that's fine. Y'all gonna get changed.
Sanov said, do y'all think Fantastic Four fails their universe for why they go to the MCU? Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't think that's even speculation at this point.
But that's so obvious that they might deter it. It's so obvious that they might deter it a little.
Unless they kill them off. Doom leaves in escapes based off of Reed Richards' mistake, and then we get what you said, Bundle, the other Fantastic Four crew, because Reed Richards is a genius in any universe to fill in the gap.
Yeah. Hey, what if they do Miles Teller and the Maker comes out?
I hope it's not Miles Teller, because that Fantastic Four, we don't need to and we definitely don't need to revisit Miles Teller Fantastic Four.
That's the only redemption he would have. He would be the Maker and be like, I killed all the Fantastic Four, all the BS in my universe, and now I'm here to be the fan service y'all need me to be. That actually would work. If he was the only one from that universe as the Maker, now maybe not even as a main thing, but just like a cameo type thing, like how they did, like, Henry Cavill type deal, like jumping around. Fam, that'd get me out my seat. That would. To go ahead and like kill that garbage that they made with the original Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan on there and be like, hey, what happened to that? Yeah, Reed Richards became the maker. Yeah, and then get back to brass tacks of where we are with Doomsday. I would accept that. I would accept that as a scene. That'd be awesome.
Sanov said, thinking of it now, RDJ was a smart move money-wise to get tickets and money. Besides that, we think of Doom's casting.
Now I need to come back afterwards and give him Mads Mikkelsen. Give him Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to deny it wasn't desperation, but I mean, but you know, it's not going to deter me from being excited about seeing freaking Doom. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work because you're gonna like.
Have y'all seen how Robert Downey Jr. looked recently?
But he doesn't have to worry about that. He's gonna have to put a mask on. That's what I said. It's the same task.
I promise you, he won't have that mask on that much.
He'll take the mask off as well, but he'll have
because of Robert Downey Jr., he won't have that mask on that much. I guarantee you, he won't have that mask on. He'll probably have like 15 minutes.
Period? Are you going to say period? Because we can play percentages.
Think about this. Think about what you just said.
15 minutes of screen time of the mask.
Think about what you just said. Out of every time Iron Man fought, and Iron Man 1 through 3, and all the Iron Man, how many times did Iron Man fight with a mask off? And it was always RDJ.
Most of it was in a mask.
It was always RDJ. We knew it was him. All you got to do is show it's him and just be like, and give him the voice. Different masks.
They'll probably do that thing where they show like his face underneath the mask, like they like to do with Iron Man. They'll probably do that.
Okay. That's okay.
Hey, hold on. Practic Rogue said he heard today they will reveal the rest of the Doomsday cast.
They already kind of did, like, bro. They already did that whole little line, and they showed all the seats. Like 26.
That's not the full cast, though. There's more.
Cast.
Oh, okay.
Because I heard that Hugh Jackman was supposed to have been. He had a chair that was supposed to have been shown, but they didn't show it.
And Tom Holland hasn't signed his contract yet for. Yeah.
I heard
and if
he's
he
not
does, he can't be publicly. I mean, a lot of these publicly signed contracts and stuff like that, they're not gonna do it, man. They're really like Marvel, unlike DC. When they do their big Avenger films, think about their big Avenger films. They keep a lot of it to the vest. You know what I mean? Avengers, even though Civil War wasn't treated like that, outside of the Spider-Man reveal, they kept a lot of things to the vest. The same thing with Ultron, the same thing with Infinity War, they did the same thing with Endgame. The next whatever, we're not going to talk about that. But they're looking at this Doomsday as like, hey, this is what's going to get us back on track. We're going to let y'all know the actors in it right now, so y'all don't have to do speculation or nothing like that. But set pieces, all that, they're keeping it under wraps, fam. Like, Marvel does that well. DC spoils all their stuff. Image Comics, they spoil that stuff. Marvel is actually good about, keeping quiet when it comes to their main Avenger films. Think about the promotions and the trailers to Infinity War and Endgame. You did not know that you were going to get the product that you got looking at those trailers. You did not.
Sanov said he's been on I think he's referring to Robert Downey Jr. He's been on the vegan diet, hasn't he, for why he's been looking scrawny? I guess referring to his look.
Getting older though, man.
Yeah.
In his 60s now?
Pradic Rogue said
he's
some supposed to tease. I guess I think he's saying some footage will be teased from Brie Larson's Instagram. So be on the lookout for some Brie Larson stuff. Right on, Pradic Rogue. Right on. Right.
I would
imagine
Brie Larson says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, man. What if we got like an Avengers versus Avengers fight before the Doomsday incursion happened? It was like Sentry versus Captain Marvel.
Okay, so look, great idea. So where does Dark Avengers and West Coast Avengers end up in all this? Something has to happen there, or is some of these projects going to be canceled?
They should just cancel. We don't need West Coast Avengers.
You don't need it. Yeah.
So do you think the writers? So do you think? I mean, do you think the writers' strike canceled all this? Did they confirm that they're filming Wonder Man?
It's still they haven't said nothing about it yet.
Yeah, I ain't heard any confirmation.
Hold on. Was Daredevil Born Again Bank episode with old girl's father confirmation that we're still going to have? The West
The
Coast
thing is,
Avengers.
the thing is, Kamala Khan could show up randomly with the West Coast Avengers, like, oh, I got a
Period.
king
Yeah.
or something
Well,
like
that was
that,
part
and
of
then
one
they,
of those episodes that was supposed to have been cut, but they just left it on the cutting room floor
they get
anyway. So
teleported there
There's a
via
lot of
I
her
doubt we'll see
saber
that
with
again. Hopefully
Nick
not.
Cannon, excuse me, Nick Fury and the
He said
Skrulls,
Nick
and then they
Cannon.
could, I did. I meant to say Nick Fury.
Nick Cannon in the
hilarious.
Avenger.
I was saying, it's just like, what if like the Doomsday War thing happened and like you need more help, and like Kamala went over there, orchestrated the Young Avengers or the West Coast Avengers. You get teleported via Saber, which is what Nick Fury is doing up there with the Skrulls. He can do that, and they just get like kind of like how bring me Thanos. You know what I mean? When Thor got there on Wakanda type deal. You know what I mean? Just get teleported to the battlefield, but it don't mean nothing, and Doom just kills him immediately. I expect Doomsday to like murk like real characters, like characters that have been a part of the MCU for 10 years plus, and you getting them out of there.
Okay, hold on. Pratic Rogue says Wonder Man is releasing in December. Now hold on. If a character's going to get murked, who's going to get murdered?
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye's murked.
Hawkeye's retired, bro. He's retired. Kate Bishop is Hawkeye. He gone.
Well, if he doesn't die
Well,
off
Martin
screen
said,
in season 2, because Jeremy Renner said that he doesn't want to come back if they're trying to pay him half the money of season
I
1.
understand that. I
Which I understand. So if they decide to kill his character off screen for season 2, or
They
if they
mopping
just
him.
go ahead and bring him back for Avengers to kill him off in the first 5
I'd have
minutes,
been
I
like, give
can
me
see
10
that.
million. Kill me for 10 million.
Do you guys know what the conclusion to Armor Wars is in the comics?
It's gone.
I know they're not using it, but they might use whatever plot there to eliminate or whatever's needed there. Like what happens in the conclusion?
There's not enough Hulk involvement for it to like happen.
I'm not saying the movie's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen, but plot wise. So I assume we just boo boo.
They should cancel that product too.
You basically just get like a whole bunch of Transformer looking Avengers.
Sanaf says, with Cloak and Dagger's popularity and Marvel rivals, they should bring them back into the MCU since they've said to play part in the Secret Wars comic. Look, I'm going to be honest with you.
That terrible ABC show that they did a few years ago on Hulu.
Be real.
The
Nah,
Cloak and Dagger
nah,
show.
nah.
That show was not good.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I've already had my feelings
They're
hurt
not about to
with
celebrate
all
the
the
interracial
like
stuff.
every character is included in like these Avenger big titles, but they're not going to give us everybody. I don't know if we're going to get street level. If we was going to get anything street level out of New York, should have been
Defenders,
included.
they're gonna come back.
And it should have been included somehow in Thunderbolts.
And the Defenders would come back.
The only way there would be a possibility of a street level person being revealed is we're going to have to wait for Spider-Man 4.
Okay.
I don't know. So, okay, I know the characters exist, but do you guys really think we're going to end up with the Dark Avengers?
No. Well, no. I think we get Fantastic Four, and then you get the Doomsday joint right afterwards, and it's not going to flush out the Dark Avengers. I think that's why they already fast forward 14 months later.
Can you fix your audio slightly? It kind of went crazy. Like
Damn.
There you go.
Oh, my bad. No, I don't think we'll get that. I think we're going to go ahead and get the the next joint. What's that movie? I'm sorry, I just said it. My bad. I just drew a blank again. But after that, the Doomsday is just going to go ahead and bind everything together. I don't think they have enough time, budget, or audience care to go ahead and put together something like that.
What about you?
And
What
it's
about
gonna
you,
get right
SSJ?
to it. Get right to the Doomsday.
Oh, what was your question?
Bundle had said he doesn't think so, but the characters exist, but do you think we're actually going to see the Dark Avengers together in the MCU?
Probably not officially. We'll probably get nods to it, if anything, like they like to do.
Yeah,
But we're probably not going to get an official Dark Avengers. Like, I think this new Thunderbolts team is basically your MCU version of the Dark Avengers, because they're not the Avenger.
Yeah,
And
you're
they're not the
completely right.
Thunderbolts either, because the Thunderbolts is supposed to be a mixture of heroes and like villains working together on the team. It's like almost identically like the
Suicide Squad.
Squad. But in this MCU, it's mostly anti-heroes and like mercenaries that were like, like characters like Bucky, and they're not really bad characters, but very anti-hero type characters. Same thing with John Walker. So we don't really have the villains that are supposed to be in the Thunderbolts as well, too, to fully mesh out this team, because it's mostly just super soldiers and a Black Widow, and then Sentry rounds it out with being the strongest character of the team.
With that being said,
so this is the closest you're going to get to Dark Avengers without it actually being called Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just doubling back on what you just said, sir. If there's no true villain, how good was Thunderbolts?
You don't need a true villain to be good with it. The reason of Thunderbolt was never to establish a true villain.
I mean, Void was the threat, but
it was a threat. Yeah, it was established a threat and how they overcame it, but it was never to establish a true new villain. To establish a new team that could protect the MCU's hierarchy. That's what I looked at it as, and this is how each team member developed a story and filled the void.
Okay. And Sanaf says maybe a multiverse Dark Avengers with Williams, Green Goblin, and others in the multiverse. It would sell. I would love to see it. Don't know if it'll happen. I would love to see it. I think so. Did any of you guys watch any of the YouTube videos of the leaked Thunderbolts plots, the original plots for Thunderbolts, the original like end scenes, the plot?
I
that
did
they
see
had?
how No Way Home.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, my bad. I did see how No Way Home messed up the original script that they were gonna do. It's because if you know about the origin of Sentry has actually always been here since the golden age of comic books, since Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. But he had a catastrophic incident that happened on the planet, so he went to Doctor Strange and actually did the exact same thing that Spider-Man did in the Silver Age of comics, and had it so a spell was cast over the entire planet and himself that everyone would forget about Sentry, and he would forget about even himself. And then when that spell actually, broke because of Doctor Strange's death, this is how the Void and Sentry came about again. That's actually one of his origins. And so they were going to go ahead and adapt that, but because of the negative reaction that people got with No Way Home, of him asking Doctor Strange to have everyone forget Spider-Man, they were like, we can't be too redundant with that. So they scrapped it and gave us what we had.
Okay. And then Sanaf just said, did y'all hear that the OG script was Valentina injecting John Walker with Hulk blood, turning him to a Hulk, which resulted in the Thunderbolts talking him back to John?
That would have been hot trash. That would have been hot trash if they did that. Glad that was. Glad that
would have been good for a comic, but as a movie, yeah.
That would have been hot.
First off, with already knowing that we'd rather see Sentry, and then you replace him with the Hulk, I'd be pissed. Period.
That'd been good as a comic, but as a movie, yeah, that'd have been Boo Boo Bilbo Baggins.
Nah,
I don't know about that one, Sanaf.
There was another thing that I heard where Taskmaster was supposed to had gone crazy and keep on trying to kill John Walker, and it was supposed to be like a running gag until they killed Taskmaster. I'm glad they didn't put that in. That would have been stupid. Just kill her off right away. Be done with her.
Yep.
So
I'm glad they killed her.
So they actually did a good job with leaving the crap on the cutting room floor. So yeah, would have made the movie 10 times
Boo
worse.
boo.
It would have
Say boo boo.
like what kind of crap is that? The turning him into the
All right.
Hulk.
Side note
Like what?
on a different.
He's already Captain America.
MCU thought, but a little bit of a different topic. Bundle and I talked about this at the end of watching Thunderbolts. What are the three people in the MCU right now that still knows of Spider-Man's existence? I'm gonna go with you, SSJ, because Bundle and I kind of had this discussion already. And then you as well, guys, in the chat, if you guys can give us the three people that would still know Spider-Man's existence.
Doctor Strange.
Okay, hold on. I said SSJ, dang it.
No, I wasn't going to answer. I was just saying, remember
obvious,
Doctor
obvious
Strange
that Strange is
spells
one.
are...
But we
Obvious.
know. My bad. There's a thunderstorm by me, so if you heard that, but
No,
yeah, definitely for sure, Kingpin. No Spider. Well, you're talking about who knows him underneath the mask. Is what you're asking?
Remember as far as with
Is that what you're asking?
Remembers
Like,
whose
who knows
identity, or
underneath the
who
mask?
remembers that the Spider-Man that exists?
okay, so what was Doctor Strange's spell?
Oh, well, I would think mostly everybody that he interacted just.
He wanted to
like
people
Hawkeye.
to forget Spider-Man. He wanted people to forget that there was a Spider-Man identity, but did he want people to forget that there was Spider-Man in entirety? I just think he wanted people to forget his personal identity. I think that's what it was.
So
I
now
don't think it was to get rid of him.
See, this is what
everyone
kind of
knows
makes me hate
Spider-Man,
No Way
just
Home
not
more.
Peter
'cause that ending
Parker.
was so
I think
stupid.
Sanab said everybody knows but Peter Parker.
I think they still know of the Spider-Man. They just don't know it's Peter Parker anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. But yeah, that's ending more because the ending was so stupid. I don't know why they did that kind of spell. That like they should have found a different way because it just adds for more confusion and more headache conversation.
Hindsight, looking back, I understood why they did it because all the people that they
But
showed,
I think most
like up there, they really thought like that Sony was gonna do something with it. Like Rhino was gonna do much better in Craven. You know what I mean? Madam Web was gonna do much better in the female Spider-Man. Where like I thought that they Craven, so I think that hindsight looking back, they're like, oh, we had these films and ideas on the horizon. Oh, this is gonna go well. Those films did terrible. So now looking back,
Did that cancel the West Coast Avengers?
What were y'all doing? Not necessarily cancel the West Coast Avengers, but cancel any more connection they wanted to make with Spider-Man within the MCU. So Sony, do your own thing. We're gonna go ahead and build the teams that will push the narrative of Doomsday and Secret War. Spider-Man don't need to be there for that.
Yeah, I don't think Spider-Man.
You don't need to be there for that. You got far more enough pivotal characters that you can introduce. You still have Thor's stuff with Hercules coming in. You can still introduce.
So no symbiote
Marvel.
Spider-Man, or is he going to be a surprise?
You don't.
They're probably not
it,
even
man.
that back up.
Sony's too greedy. And but the thing is, you don't need it.
It's
You
because
don't
of
need
Sony.
a symbiote going forward.
He did come through in Civil War though.
But that's done already. Now you're going.
I'm just saying, you bring him in again.
Secret Wars and all of that, and hopefully Beyonder going forward, and the real paracausal true cosmic entities that push Marvel, and the symbiote ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, I was talking trash about the MCU, but the most people we can blame in this situation right now is Sony.
They're
Because
holding,
they're holding Spider-Man hostage
hostage.
with this terrible Spider-Man universe they try to do that doesn't even have Spider-Man.
This,
Now look,
this
now
whole
look.
movie, the whole
Holland is fighting for creative control. Because
It won't matter.
he had speaking to Ryan Reynolds. He wants Ryan Reynolds like power over the IP, and I don't think Sony's going to give it away.
Now, see, Ryan Reynolds came and turned something into nothing and made it a profit.
So I don't.
Spider-Man was a profit long before Tom Holland got here.
I mean,
And plus, Ryan
Holland's
Reynolds is
trying
a
to
fan. He's a
negotiate.
huge fan
So
of Deadpool.
I don't think that's going to work in his favor. But maybe
won't.
Sony.
But the only type of negotiation, it won't work. It won't work. I mean, well, Never say never. Because I said that for the longest time, and then I still remember the first time I seen that Civil War commercial, and I heard Underoos, and you saw Cap do that, and you thought, hey everybody, it was Spider-Man there. I was like, no way.
Big deal.
So
Big freaking deal.
that was huge. In 2016, 15,
Here's your
16,
shield.
I was like, 'cause I never thought I would see that. I was like, how are y'all gonna be able to do that? Andrew Garfield back in 2009, y'all not gonna do this. You're not gonna do this. And then 8 years later, I was like,
And it was you who told me. I think it was you that was like, no,
it made all the sense in the world. Like they would have to sacrifice.
You was
too much
like, no,
money,
it's
but
not going to happen. So it's going to be like this. And I was just like, bundle. Did you see the trailer? You was like, oh my god.
They made a deal. They made a deal. Now the thing is,
now look, Universal is harder to work with than Sony.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
The Incredible Hulk. They want big money for Incredible Hulk.
I think they're both the same.
They're both the same, but
They're both
Universal.
But Sony will give you a film. Hulk don't get a film because Universal want big dollars.
Universal understood though. It was like, yeah, we own this, but y'all can have Hulk first now. Spider-Man had to be like, let's see what y'all talking about. Which is true.
I got you.
But I forget the original point though. We cover so many different topics.
I had just thrown out Spider-Man's inclusion about the 3 characters that would actually know Spider-Man existing. You guys said Doctor Strange. I think one of you guys said Kingpin. And then Sanav said everybody pretty much knows, but Peter
everyone's
Parker.
gonna have to know because if Kingpin went ahead and said, and Daredevil was like he went ahead and he roasted Daredevil, he roasted Punisher, said, or a vigilante that dresses up like a spider. So him saying that addresses the entirety of New York. So that's how many millions of people? Now you may not know that Peter Parker is him, which is what J. Jonah Jameson did at the end of that, and / beginning of the one Spider-Man film, but New York still knows that the Spider-Man. It's not his identity.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, just like you said, SSJ, they kind of left people confused of
Then Charlie Cox
that
even
plot line.
represented Spider-Man. Remember as a lawyer, remember he caught the brick, like what type of lawyer? Really good one. Remember all that stuff?
Yeah.
So he would know. So yeah, so
But
New
we don't
York
know if he knows
this.
he's Spider-Man in that universe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't know that he's Peter Parker, but New York
We don't know
knows
if he
it.
knows he's Spider-Man.
That's why he represented him.
Well, then, okay, so who would know that it's Peter
No,
Parker would be?
that-
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why he-
yes.
Yeah. That's why
Yes,
he
you know what?
represented
Yes,
him.
because I just remembered the Far From Home. That's right.
That's why he represented him. Now they casted the spell afterwards that would make Matt Murdock forget that. So you
Yeah.
are right there. But though New York would still know that we still have a Spider-Man, we just don't know it's Peter Parker.
So who would know that it was Peter Parker?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
If he used the spell on himself.
Could the spell work on Bruce Banner but not Hulk, or Hulk but not Bruce
It
Banner?
worked on everybody, but there's a loophole with that because was Bruce Banner on planet when that happened?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And who was dead? Well, actually, no. The snap already came back. Never mind. Forget that. Never mind. Bruce Banner could be.
And you did. And look, you're canceling the idea, but you did mention post Thunderbolts when we had this discussion that's if they bring back that symbiote could be one of the few.
That one symbiote that got left
That
behind.
piece of symbiote that got left.
When Tom Hardy's Venom got sent
captured.
back. That was on the little. Yeah. I wonder when they gonna go back because that's another loose end like Tiamat sitting out of the Indian Ocean. It's just like, what happens to that symbiote? Did it attach to anybody? It's got all the knowledge. Where is he?
And then look, could there be a unit? We gotta MCU wise, a Celestial has to come down, right?
Yeah, Arsham did snatch the Eternals away, and it's like, I'm gonna deem Theon Emery's if they're worthy. I'm gonna come back. What if you come back in Doomsday? What's popping? Who's got the power? What if Galactus is chomping down on Africa? What you doing? There's a lot of unopened questions here, my good sir. Which is also why this has got so much, like, implications. Like, really, where did the Eternals go? What's up with that great power? Even though y'all
Are
said
they just going to
Wanda
ignore and
died, we
retcon
never
them? I don't know.
watched Wanda die on camera. What if another variant of Wanda comes back? What happens if Thor comes back clapping cheeks? Where is Captain Marvel? Now we got
look,
Sentry. Is
are-
Blue Marvel there?
does the Watcher show up anytime soon?
There's a Watcher. And he does intervene. Shout outs to What If season 1. I don't care what he has to say. Shout me out here. Blah, 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 blah.
Sanab says people were denying Charlie Cox would ever return, and then he did. You're right. So I mean, we can't say never. We can't say never.
Denying him returning. I knew
That's
people
not
were. A lot of people were like, okay, yeah, I could see them trying to work out something.
It's crazy they don't acknowledge the Eternal events. They said we're gonna hire Chloe Zhao, award-winning actress, and we're gonna go ahead and make a film about the gods of Marvel, and then not say nothing about it for 6 years.
Yeah, like real actors to play all those characters.
Real
actors, the hell out of them.
real
That's crazy to
situations,
get rid of the Eternals.
and then just didn't do anything with them. Like
Sanab said, but sadly,
literally
they're probably
God.
not going to acknowledge Eternals or the events for a long time. Besides using that Celestial to introduce adamantium. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Captain. I mean, technically, Captain America was introducing that Celestial just being a huge adamantium turd.
Where's the scrolls at? Where's Gaia? Amelia Clark went ahead and absorbed all the powers of all the Avengers in a terrible secret invasion. Where is she at? She got all the powers of every Avenger. Where is she at?
Dead.
She gonna fight Sentry? She gonna
Dead
fight
off
Doom?
screen.
She gonna get mocked? Glass gonna eat her?
Jonas
where'd you
says
go?
to Sanov, like I said, they hate U.S. agent if they decided to turn him into the Hulk so they can physically beat on him.
It ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. I would like to see what they do with Gaia though.
We won't even
Gaia,
address that.
The
'cause that
Super
would just been
Scroll
terrible.
Gaia, like what did y'all do
Nobody
with her?
wants to see Hulk.
You gotta do something with Gaia.
Yeah.
You gotta,
Somewhere far away with Nick Fury. I don't know.
You gotta address Gaia. You gotta address the Red Hulk and the Raft. You gotta address Hulk that has a brand new son on Earth with his cousin that's a She-Hulk. When is this coming in? Scarlet Witch ain't dead.
Well,
You
Hulk
didn't show her
probably
death.
that Hulk stuff is probably gonna not be canon. 'Cause remember how at the end of She-Hulk she switched up the ending or whatever to see. Which I hope they do. They should just go ahead and say, "Oh, I don't
Sanov
remember him
said they
having a
said it
son,"
will
and then
just be
boom, no son.
Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men versus
That's what
Doom,
you should do.
no Eternals.
That's Boo Boo Bilbo Baggins. You didn't bring the Eternals back.
Unless they have some futuristic moment, they just say, your boy Bob just snapped a bunch of necks.
We're the Guardian. No, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. Where the
You mean the Red
where they
Guardian?
at? We got a new Groot. We got a new whole Guardian team. Will they come into the fold? Fantastic Four. Have they met the Guardians? Who knows? I still think Scarlet Witch is gonna win. Where is White Vision? Where is
Most
White
of the
Vision?
Guardians
Well,
kinda come together.
if I'm not mistaken, White Vision, they're anticipating him to have his original story,
Android that can phase through
like
stuff,
the scientist,
made of
like the
complete
actual origin of White Vision.
with,
He's gonna pop up
with
like
with a mind stone. Like he might be the biggest loose end on this planet. Where is the synthezoid known as Vision that's made of vibranium?
my guy, the real Vision. That first Vision, I don't know who he is, but the White Vision, he's
got an infinity stone in the middle of his head made of adamantium just phasing amongst Earth's crust. That's a problem. Where is he?
You mean
I said
Vibranium?
adamantium, my bad. Vibranium. Still, problem. Where is he? Where is he?
Will Mephisto show up
went
in
ahead
Spider-Man?
and went to eternity and grabbed love and I'm not gonna speak.
What
on
are they
love.
going to do with Wanda's kids?
Did you see? Wait. Did you watch Agatha? Did you
Yeah,
watch
I know
They were
they're, I know
in
they're in Agatha.
Agatha.
I saw bits and pieces.
Did you know what happened with Agatha?
One of them's in Agatha.
You know what happened with Wiccan? Did you know what happened with Lady Death, the Grim Reaper? Did you know what happened?
What was the conclusion?
Oh.
Remember, we got people watching that may not seen it. So don't just say, "Did you see it?" What
Lady
happened?
Death and the Grim Reaper is Agatha Harkness' girlfriend.
Are we going to get an expansion of Lady Death?
Do you want details?
Yeah, we're here. If people haven't seen it, then go figure. At this point,
As a Jay, do you have any?
For which one?
Agatha Harkness.
Sanov says Guardians
No, I
will probably
boycotted
return
that.
in Secret Wars. Jonas said
Scarlet
they
Sun
probably
Wiccan
lost
is in
interest in She-Hulk given how they dropped her in favor of Deadpool on Disney Plus.
it. Yeah, Grim Reaper, Lady Death is Agatha's girl.
Yeah, I
She-Hulk
know
will be in Secret
Death and
Wars.
Wiccan in there.
Wiccan.
But I boycotted that show though.
Wiccan with an A.
Wiccan with an A.
No, it's a wild show. It's not wild.
Then we get a
It
little.
doesn't progress anything in the MCU.
It is
It's
rumored
wild.
Mephisto to show up in Spider-Man 4 post-credit
They,
scene.
they talk about Mephisto and Agatha.
They were talking about Mephisto showing up in Ironheart.
Yeah. They talk about the
Yep,
agents
yeah, they did. They did.
Mephisto.
It is rumored
Talk
that
about the agents of Mephisto and Agatha too.
Ironheart's supposed to have a whole bunch of inclusions inside of it.
You know that's an easy skip for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I am not watching that. I'm not watching Ironheart.
I might take the sacrifice and watch Ironheart since you two kind of.
I watch everything.
He said,
I've
of course they sexually swapped Agatha in older woman in comics. Young
She was
Avengers
old in the
members will
comics.
be in Secret Wars. Yeah, I knew the Young Avengers members will be in Secret Wars. I kind of figured.
She helped the bovine have a baby.
We're gonna see young Patriot, Ironheart.
All the Young Avengers actually have been accounted for. If you really want to break it down, but I just don't think they're gonna go with them. Maybe there'll be a team that's mentioned in like the Doomsday joint, and it just be a team that just gets vaporized away as easily as the West Coast Avengers or whatever. I remember Kevin Feige and Old Boy said it's just like Doomsday is just like expect loss. Don't expect tertiary, secondary characters to be gone. Expect real characters to lose their lives, to have to make real sacrifices, to have real, true, dramatic implications on the movie. Like, oh my God, did that just happen? Feige already said that, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm with it.
Jonah Level Fox. I can't see what Mephisto's going to do in Ironheart.
Yeah, me neither. Still looking at the She-Hulk film where old girl Madison with the Y, but it's not where you think it is. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but anyway, if you watch She-Hulk, you know what I'm talking about. She met Mephisto and all that, and Wong, whatever helped her out. That's really the only. No, never mind. I'm save that point for another time.
Sanov says Jonan. He said Jonan Mephisto will probably manipulate the people and events around her. Ironheart's supposed to. Yeah, I mean, there's
Sacha Baron Cohen is. I think it says his name right. He's already been casted as Mephisto, so he's coming. Pause.
Yep. All right, guys.
I just wonder how we'll see him, because if he's going to be cast in Doomsday, like what scene will Doom or our cast go through where they have to go to his world or see him or make a deal? Like, will you make a deal to defeat Doom? How's it gonna happen? And honestly, I'll say this one thing as well. That's fine. The Doom that we're getting is going to be an interpretation of the Doom from Secret War, Battlefield World, which was the Doom that absorbed the Beyonder's power through Owen Reed, aka the Molecule Man. How will Doom, aka Robert Downey Junior's Doom get that power to create Doom World or a Battle World. And I've seen some, argument, speculation through online and Twitter saying like instead of the Beyonder, he's gonna absorb the powers of the Void, aka Sentry. Absorb his power, and then he will become God Emperor Doom that creates Battle World, which sets place of Secret Wars, aka Doomsday, which is what the film will be getting. Because Doom has to absorb someone's powers to become the nigh omnipotent presence that he is to make Doomsday, or aka Secret Wars.
There's
Secret
nobody
Wars
as
happen.
powerful to do such.
There's no one else.
Captain Marvel's not powerful
That's what
enough.
I'm saying. Captain Marvel's not powerful enough. He's not going to go ahead. He's not going to do it to Galactus. Because obviously Galactus is going to defeat the Fantastic Four world. So,
But hold on,
what
hasn't
team?
Doom's defeated Galactus before.
Yeah, but that's not the story. And so for him to go ahead and become God Emperor Doom to make Doomsday War happen / Secret War happen with the battlefield world that all these superheroes, fight against, what hero have we seen that could give him that power outside of Arsham? Maybe Galactus's first step in Fantastic Four, and I'm thinking the Void. They're the new Avengers.
That's not extremely far fetched.
They're the new Avengers. Are the ones who welcome the new Fantastic Four. What if
and that's how he defeats the new Avengers.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Who knows?
Defeats the new Avengers, absorbs the new Avengers and absorbs them and does Battle World.
But Doom has to absorb power. He absorbs power to get to the position of who he is, to be represented in Doomsday World.
Is there any possibility that is there any possibility that the Fantastic Four escape and leave Doom behind before Doom's an enemy to the Fantastic Four, and out of revenge he absorbs Galactus and they didn't think he would survive?
Nah, he won't do that. That actually did happen. They did leave Doom in that one Fantastic Four movie, which was the most ill-received one. But to absorb Galactus, how would he absorb Galactus without the help of the Marquis of Death or the Ultimate Nullifier? None of those have been explored in the MCU, so they would not bring that there. But him absorbing, Tony Stark turning Doom, understanding multiverse, they're saying traversal and absorption, it makes sense to him to be present in this world and absorb the powers of the Void to then become this MCU's variant of God Emperor Doom that created Battle World that we will know to be Secret Wars, aka Doomsday War. I think that's the only way that Doom creates that power. There's no other entity or being, cosmic or above, that has made their place a mainstay in the MCU that he would absorb, because he has to absorb the power. I don't see it being Arsham. It could be Galactus. We have to see what Fantastic Four First Steps does, but I'm wholeheartedly understanding that being Sentry and the absorption of the powers of the Void. And
I was just throwing a little bit of objective text at you. I'm gonna go here to the chat.
Beyonder is gone.
Practic Rogue, he said Vision Quest series will come in 26. I don't know if that's still confirmed, but I remember they did say that was a time frame that they wanted that to be released. Oh yeah, Bundle reminded me of that chick. I think they're referring to something we said in the past. Do y'all think Dr. Doom will make his own Avengers?
I think he's too proud for that. It makes
and then
sense,
Jonan said
but it is
he could, but Mephisto is more connected to characters like Scarlet Witch and Ghost Rider. Ironheart is out of her league going against him.
Yeah.
Doom probably won't make his own Avengers. He's too egotistical to do that.
Yeah. Completely agree.
And then I thought with him being the devil, he manipulates things.
Your mic went a little bit crazy for a second, but it's all good.
Yeah, your mic went in and out.
They're doing.
Now we can't hear you.
Yeah. Just go ahead and reload your shit. But excuse me, reload that. Trying to manipulate people. Doom doesn't accept help from anybody. His Latvian pride is too real. I don't think he'll. But at the same time, there's a Tony Stark Doom. So what if he sees his own version of armor around the world?
Okay, there we
His
go.
own Avengers,
My
his
mic
own
just died
Ultron.
randomly. My fault, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, my mic died.
Like I said, I still can't get away from Kevin Feige's hashtag. The same mask, different mask, same task. And then the underlying quote underneath it, or was quoted was, "I see a suit of armor around the world." And that was on Kevin Feige's page. It's just like, so if it's the same same Iron Man mindset that just adopted the Doom mantle, if that's the case, did Iron, I see a suit of iron. What if this Doom has like Ultron bones, Ultron bots that like resemble Doom, that are kind of like, that look like the Doom bots, and like, oh dude, I'm going crazy. Hold on, I saw a whole bunch of stuff. Never mind.
It's all good, guys. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna ask all you guys to hit the like button for me. We're probably going to start covering more Marvel content. If enough builds up, we'll probably do another stream. Yeah. SSJ, you still there?
Yeah, I'm
All
still
right, I believe you got an announcement you want to make. You got some upcoming content that you might want to reveal to everyone.
Oh, well, just my Thunderbolts overview that I was gonna do in reaction on my channel, and then my Daredevil, which is late, but I'm still working on my Daredevil Born Again, because I did go out and buy the Daredevil Born Again comic, and I actually did order the first appearance of White Tiger. Since the first few episodes covers that, which the comic actually does, the show actually does get his origins and all that stuff right. So be on the lookout for that comparison video.
Okay.
Representation.
But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Bundle, I appreciate you guys joining and being a part of the panel. You guys over here in the chat. And you guys have a good night. And we're out.
Till next episode.
Peace.
Yippee-ki-yay.